I'm Eddie Watkins, the professor of biology at Colgate University, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the fern life cycle and hopefully giving you a better understanding of exactly what makes a plant a plant. Now, when you think about sort of the kingdoms of life on the planet, you think of animals and fungi and plants, etc. But there are some very specific things that separates plants from animals. And one of those things is alternation of generations, their life cycle. And I found out over the last several years of teaching biology and talking with students, it's one of the most fundamentally important aspects of biology, of plant biology, but it's also one of the most frequently misunderstood. So today we're going to go talk a little bit more detail about the life cycle, and we'll start out with looking at this fern. Ferns are an interesting system for lots of reasons, but if you think of a fern, this is what you think of, the nice sort of big fern frond or fern leaf, the diploid part of the life cycle. Turns out that's only half the story. And I'm going to demonstrate a couple of aspects of the fern life cycle on the board now to hopefully walk you through it so you get a better understanding of exactly how the system works. So again, let's start the life cycle out with the typical fern leaf. Now, if you look at this fern leaf, as you know, you turn it over on the back side, and there are dots on the back side. Those dots are called the sori. So I'll draw those, illustrate those on this drawing. They'll be on all the leaflets here. And now, if you were to magnify one of those dots, what you would see is that they're full of little round balls, like this. And if you were to further enlarge one of those round balls, you would see that they have a very interesting structure. They look a little bit like a Roman soldier's helmet, I suppose. They have a special group of cells here. They're sort of a round ball. And these are the sporangia, so I'll write that down for you. The sporangia is where the spores are produced. This is the place where meiosis takes place to give rise to haploid spores. So far, everything we've been looking at here is diploid. We have the diploid sporophyte, phyte being plant, sporophyte, the spore-bearing part of the life cycle. So in the sporangia, I'll illustrate everything that's haploid in green. Meiosis takes place in the germ cells in the sporangia to produce these haploid spores. There can be a number of them, any number of them inside the sporangia. Now these are sort of, the sporangia will open by a special mechanism, and the spores will dehisce and go, they're dispersed by the wind, so they'll blow in the atmosphere, and they'll leave the sporangia. And let's just demonstrate on the spore here. This is our spore. And again, it's haploid. It has one set of homologous chromosomes. That spore then lands on a suitable substrate, and it grows via the process of mitosis. Initially, it was created by meiosis, which is reduction division, when now it has half the complement of chromosomes as before. Now it grows by mitosis, which is essentially copying identical copies of the cells to produce something known as the gametophyte. And I'll draw a cartoon of the gametophyte here. Has some primitive root-like structures. This is a multicellular thing. These are not to scale, as you'll see in a future Fern blog. But it's on these, so we'll have one spore producing a gametophyte that produces the female sex organs, and we'll have another spore that produces a gametophyte that has the male sex organs. Okay? What's interesting about this, what separates ferns from all other groups of plants, is that we have multicellular free-living haploid stage and a multicellular free-living diploid stage. That's really what defines ferns as ferns, or the pteridophytes as pteridophytes. No other group of plants have this. And so it's this process of having two independent stages that really makes ferns quite exciting. So the next step in this, we have to reconstitute, complete this cycle. What happens is, as with a drop of water lands on the gametophyte, these female sex organs open up, and the egg is exposed at the base. They open up. The sperm are released from these male sex organs. They're aquatic swimming sperm, motile, just like human sperm, and they swim around, and they swim right up the neck canal and fertilize the egg. So now we've had the process of fertilization. Fertilization to produce the zygote, which then grows by mitosis to produce the diploid sporophyte of the fern, which takes us for the fern, which comes back to this thing that we started with to recreate this nice, beautiful green plant. So that's just a very quick introduction to the fern life cycle.